Now that we have data in our database, let's create a connection pool and a data source. Before we create them, let's try to understand what role a data source and a connection pool play in our web application. The data source is simply an object that tells our web application how to connect to the database. It holds the name of the database, the location of the database, and the protocol to use to connect it, usually TCP/IP. In the application we are creating, the application server and the database server happen to be on the same machine, our machine. But in a real web application, the web server and database server will typically be on different machines. In any case, the data source tells the application where the database is and how to connect to it. Connecting to a database takes time. Not a lot of time, but there is overhead involved. Web servers typically hold multiple connections to a database. Each time a client wants to access or update data, a connection must be used. If multiple connections exist on multiple threads, the database can manage the incoming requests regarding how its information is accessed or updated. For example, suppose client 1 in this slide establishes a connection to the web server. As soon as the client needs information from the database, even if it's just via a JSP page that will display information from the database, a connection needs to be established. In this case, no connection exists, so a new connection is created using the information from the data source, and the connection is assigned to client 1. A similar series of events occurs when client 2 needs to access the database. Now suppose client 1 disconnects from the server. The connection between the client and the server is broken, but the database connection will still exist. Then, when client 3 wants to access the database, a new connection does not need to be created. Creating the data pool and data source are not difficult. The information goes into an XML file called glassfishresources.xml. To set up the data source and data pool, create a new JDBC resource using the wizard. Choose Create New JDBC Connection Pool and give it a JNDI name of JDBC/AffableBean. One word, all lowercase. This will be the data source. For the JDBC connection pool name, use AffableBean Pool, all one word in camel case as shown here. You should see the AffableBean database as one of the choices on the drop-down menu under the radio button, Extract from Existing Connection. Make sure the resource type is a connection pool data source. Again, this should be one of your options in the drop-down menu. In the Properties box, make sure that you have the correct name and password for your database. Here, we are logging in as the root user. When you have finished with the wizard, your glassfishresources.xml file should look something like this. Most of this is easy to type in yourself, except for the long list of JDBC connection pool attributes. Two attributes that are not shown here, but that you might want to double check, are the name and res type. Name should be AffableBean Pool, and res type should be Connection Pool Data Source. Once you have created the glassfishresources.xml file, right-click the AffableBean project and choose Deploy. This will ensure that the Glassfish Resources XML file is added to the server when it starts. It will also start your application, and of course the server. You should only have to do this once. The next time you start the application, it will see the file. To see the data source and the data pool, expand the Glassfish server item under the Services tab. JDBC/AffableBean is the data source, and AffableBean Pool is the data pool. You can edit the properties of these items by right-clicking on them.